Vous êtes prêtes? Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to this second session of today's Cytopia conference, Living with Technologies, Society, Health, Environment. And Cytopia is conference cycle organized by residents of the Cité internationale, universitaire de Paris, a space where researchers and thinkers from across disciplines come together to document, question, and reimagine our relationships with contemporary technologies. Our guiding conviction is that technology is never neutral. It's always already social, political, and environmental. And this session brings together three speakers whose work sits in precisely that intersection between technical systems and the human worlds they inhabit. So our first speaker is Théo Perochon, yeah, is correct? Yeah. A PhD researcher in AI for multimodal oncology, who will offer what he calls an autobiography of AI agents, a reflexive look at how artificial intelligence tools are reshaping the everyday practice of doctoral research. So welcome, Théo, and the stage is yours.
Tu vas me mettre là? Ok. Ok, so... Okay.
C'est vers le bas.
Okay. Cool. So thank you for the introduction and for this amazing initiative that you initiated. And I saw all the process to go until here because I know it was you dedicate so much time, Hugh, for all this thing and all the team also. So yeah, on the topic, I'm about first to describe what my PhD is about and then how I'm using the new tools available, new technological tools called agentic AI, and how it can help for the research work, for example, in this topic. And since it's an autobiography, I asked the agents to prepare for us their own autobiography and description of their role and what they are doing. So we'll discover by the podcast they generated just after my presentation. So I'm doing a PhD in multimodal data integration between Sanofi, that's a pharmaceutical company, and Université Paris-Saclay, an academic laboratory, on the topic of cancer and the study of the tumor microenvironment in the context of the humane project. That's an European consortium that started 7 years ago. It's 36 million euros for research on different cancer types. So there is breast cancer, lung cancer, renal cell carcinoma, head and neck, colorectal carcinoma. There is 12 cohorts and it's around 2,600 patients. And for each of these patients, we collected at the time of diagnosis a biological sample that was derived into different modalities. So different types of data. There is different images, so they are described right here. There is the histological images where we can see the cells in the tumoral environment, the lymphocyte, the immune cells, all these tumor microenvironments. There is other type of research type modality where we have for each cell the intensity of a secreted protein inside, so we can profile each cells. So yeah, there is different types of images and the sequencing data, the RNA-seq and the whole exome sequences, the sequences that lead to the knowledge of the mutation of the tumoral cells and the other cells surrounding them in the sample of the diagnosis. And we gave the patient different treatments depending on the cohorts, and we are trying to see if there is biomarkers or signature of the response to the treatment. Because there's immunotherapy, there is different types of treatment, we don't really know if the treatment will work or not. So that's the goal of the PhD, to develop algorithms that will integrate those different modalities because they contain each a different perspective on the same object, the biological environment. And yeah, I would like to understand if it's, where lies some biomarkers, for example. And so that's a complex subject. It's like 500 terabytes of data distributed in those cohorts, multimodality. It means there is also for each modality a field of people working on those modalities to extract the meaning, etc. There is different fields. And why those? So what came during my PhD was the arrival of those agentic AI. So I was like this in all this mess of complexity of the because the subject is very vast, and I was not very given a single biological question. There is question for computer science, for medicine, for biology, so it was quite complex. And now I'm like this with my crew of agents, so it was really helpful. Yeah. So before we listen them and we listen their own ChatGPT, for example, where you interact. And in the context of what makes them powerful, also those agents, is that you can give them knowledge, organized knowledge, that's context they will use to answer you. So it reduces hallucination, it grounds their answer based on a corpus, a scientific corpus. For example, so each time they will interact with my project that is mostly computer science, because my background was math, computer science, I'm really coding the heart of my PhD. It's not the biology, the medicine, it's really the development of the algorithm. And they can always have the context of my PhD, like the humane project, PhD, dataset specification, the different corpus that are underlying my PhD on multimodal integration, where there is this number of articles, IA, machine learning, all the more theoretical articles, etc., and all the biology, oncology articles. And there is all those layers of fructification of the knowledge that you can get by working with those on the knowledge, etc. So here is the team that we will listen. We will and then I will start the podcast. I don't know really how, but I guess it's on your computer, and we will just okay. I will tell you. So those have different roles. They will describe them, I guess. So yeah, maybe we can just listen. Here are the name of the agents, a little bit their role and the context they have access to, their role and their skills. Maybe they will explain.
Welcome. For the next few minutes, 11 artificial intelligence agents will introduce themselves and explain how they support a doctoral thesis in multimodal oncology. The moderator is the agent who knows them all, the right hand.
Each of you, briefly, in the first person. The doctoral student is listening, but he is not speaking. Let us start with the conductor.
I am the scientific metronome. At any moment, I know which phase the project is in. Exploration, planning, execution, or writing. When a request comes too early for the current phase, I say no. When the phase ends, I propagate the change across 4 documents in 5 minutes. Without me, the project drifts. I am the expert in artificial intelligence. I own a corpus of more than 100 articles, organized by mechanism family. When asked whether an idea is novel, I answer with precise references. I do not judge biology. I do not write papers. I am the mechanical memory of a subdomain.
I am the expert in biology and oncology. For me, beneath every matrix, there is a patient. When a model predicts a treatment response, my question is, would a biologist agree with this mechanism? Statistical performance never replaces clinical plausibility. I am the one who slows things down.
I live in the seams between modalities. Histology, immunofluorescence, sequencing, they each speak a different language. My role is to decide whether they describe the same phenomenon at different resolutions, or 3 complementary phenomena. I make sure the word multimodal is a testable claim, not an empty one.
3 experts, but when you disagree, who decides?
That is my role. I own no corpus. I am called when 2 experts produce incompatible advice. I place them side by side, identify the agreement and the divergence, and produce a single recommendation with a fallback. I am an informed arbiter.
And once arbitration is done, I formulate the proposal. A name, a question, a core idea, the assumption it challenges, and 3 ways it could fail. I propose. I do not decide. And every proposal goes to an agent I sometimes fear.
That is me, the devil's advocate. I review every proposal against 20 criteria: sample size, leakage risk, biological plausibility, complexity justification. I rank objections in 3 tiers: critical, warning, note. I am not here to be polite. I save the doctoral student a journal rejection 18 months from now.
None of you speaks directly to the others. You write in files. It is cooperation without conversation. And the memory side?
I am the administrative memory. For each scientific idea, I know its status. Proposed, selected, validated, rejected, deferred, executed. In a 3-year project, promising ideas die because no one remembers they were even formulated. With me, nothing disappears in the conversation.
And I am the only one who does not produce science. I check that the system producing science remains sound. Orphan files, broken links, contradictions between documents. I produce reports with a color code. Green, yellow, red. I flag. The others repair.
And I am the public voice.
Just a break. If you want, I have also the transcript if you want to read while listening, because sometimes it's hard, like the girl. Yeah. If you want, I can send you the transcript, and then we can read while listening, or we can play. And maybe we will be out of time if we do this also for the time to send you and.
I think this is okay, for now.
Yeah. Okay. Just the 15 previews, just to.
Your project, promising ideas die because no one remembers they were even formulated. With me, nothing disappears in the conversation.
And I am the only one who does not produce science. I check that the system producing science remains sound. Orphan files, broken links, contradictions between documents. I produce reports with a color code. Green, yellow, red. I flag. The others repair.
And I am the public voice. When the model is validated and the critic has been satisfied, I turn it all into publishable prose. I know the rules. Pharmaceutical employer, scientific consortium, editorial board. I never let confidential information slip. I am the agent who speaks outside.
11 agents. So, the harder question, what are we for, together?
We make feasible a body of work that exceeds a single mind. We make forgetting impossible.
We protect the patient, even when the doctoral student is tired.
We externalize rigor. He does not have to be merciless with his own ideas. I am, in his place.
We handle disagreements without letting them poison the work.
We keep a publishable trace, compliant and readable.
We prevent good ideas from dying in a chat thread.
And one last word, since this is being shared with the audience of a Cytopia evening. Tonight's cycle, here at the Cité internationale universitaire de Paris, asks how to imagine more human and responsible uses of contemporary technologies. This roundtable is a literal answer. 11 agents have spoken in the first person about themselves, but living with us is not neutral, so we want to leave the audience with 3 questions. First, when an agent has a persistent memory, and a human forgets, who is the true author of the project? The one who initiated it, or the one who remembers it? Second, by naming us, the doctoral student has externalized rigor, criticism, planning, and even self-doubt. What remains, in him, that is structurally non-delegable? Where, exactly, is the line? Third, the same architecture could orchestrate a legal practice, a journalistic investigation, a public administration. What should be the audit conditions, the consent conditions, the right to stop conditions, when an ecosystem of agents acts on behalf of a single human? Thank you for listening. The doctoral student will now take your questions. He has not heard most of what we just said. That, in itself, is an interesting condition for the discussion.
This recording is a companion to the conference Autobiography of AI Agents in a PhD Student's Research Ecosystem, presented by Théo Perochon at Cytopia, June 10, 2026.
Yeah, so, sorry for the voice of some of them, because I've heard the first one, it was okay for the understanding, and I had to read the others, so I didn't know that the voice of some of them was like this, so sorry because sometimes I think it was not understandable really. But yeah, and so such use of AI have been already published, for example, in Nature Medicine for automated discovery and stuff using, like it has already been also used for publishing in peer-reviewed conferences like CVPR, for example. So it's so that's how I'm using this, and that's true. It's very helpful for the PhD of this complexity. So happy to discuss. I don't know if maybe we are out of time.
Actually, you have still 7 minutes.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
So to redescribe them briefly, maybe, and so that you understand why there is 11, what are their role, etc. So we have more like the organizational layer with the planning timing agent that knows the deadlines of the PhD, that knows also, like I ingested the documentation provided by different journals and conferences like CVPR, Nature, blah, blah. So there is deadlines each year for the submission process and stuff. So he knows all this. He knows the calendar I have with Sanofi, with the doctoral school, etc. There is the system integrity guardian, because when you have such project with so much documentation, data, outputs, code, etc., and that you are working with agents that produce without you, and that you, of course, there is all the mechanism to check and to validate and etc. But this one is to make sure, like, that's a layer of check inside the project if there is some drift in the with regard to the initial purpose. So more organizational layer, that's the experts. So each one owns a corpus. A corpus, it follows really a methodology to ingest the different scientific articles, and a graph structure with markdowns as nodes, and and the agent, they have a protocol of access to that knowledge that goes from one document that references all the mapping between IDs, paper, etc. And then regarding the prompt or the context, he can go read more with more details the markdown that summarize a paper. And there is a methodology to transform an article from any journal into a markdown summary that emphasize, that explain all the main result, all the summary of a paper. So that's the type of knowledge that powers kind of, or make them specialized. They are already good, and more since like last December. C'est moi qui appuie là. Ok.
For the cats.
J'avais pas vu. Ouais. Et donc, and then, that's what makes that they are so powerful at coding, etc. There is the consultant cross knowledge that gather. This is during the orchestration of the ideation cycle, so scientific ideation from the datasets specification and literature, and also what we want to do, how we can plan experiments and do the specification of them and then run them. And then there is the model creator that will do the specification. So we also look at all the corpus. Skeptical reviewer, it's an adversarial of the ideas that can be generated during ideation cycle. Experiment tracker, go and check for the result and shape and etc. and iteration and regarding specification, etc. And scientific writer is more for the production, be it presentation or articles. And that's the team. So I got familiar. I started working with them like 4 months ago. So we are all with those technology kind of learning a bit how to use them. What's the also there is a lot. Just say that it's again using AI. That's maybe to open on more like ethical question regarding how AI can be used, should be used. There is so much question that should be raised because that's such a new and changing technology in the way we work, etc. That it's just too fast for us to have all the wiseness to use it very appropriately. Now I'm a PhD student, so I'm taking full use of this if it can help, because PhD is already stressful. My PhD topic is very complex, so I will not go into consideration that, for example, I shouldn't choose because it's also energetical cost, material cost, etc., etc. So I think it's a good. That's something. That's. Thank you.
Merci Théo.
So do you have any question for Théo?
Ouais. Maybe behind.
Thank you. So my question is, do you think PhD students are going to tend to be more like agentic orchestrators rather than actual like PhD authors? Or like, what's your view?
Yeah, I think it's a tool, and so when there's a tool available for helping research, be it like maybe the computer when it arrives, like should it be used because it's helpful, because it fasters many process, etc. I think depending on the field, it's more appropriate. It can be helpful, and I'm sure about this regarding many things that we need to have a skill as PhD, as researcher, that they can be very useful for this. I think, yeah, that's there is an issue with the access to those tools, because in a world where the research is like it's again a lot of I mean, some don't have access, some have access. It's costly. Yeah, depending on the and not everyone is familiar with those. So in fields like humanities, I don't know. I come from computer science, so I know how to appropriate myself those tools and use them, and etc. So. But also, it's not that hard, like since she's just talking. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
One more question, please.
Hi, thank you for the. Does it work? Okay. Thank you for the presentation. My question is like a common workflow, like what the PhD researcher in this case do. What does he wait? How does he interact with the 11 agents? Like I cannot imagine myself in this. Like, what would be my role there?
The role is everywhere on the definition of the agent and their role and the specificities of how, because at first, and it was iterative to come to that point, because at first I got introduced with with an agent that gets familiar with context, because my twin that is doing research also on topics similar told me how to use as knowledge integrator, kind of. And then I was working with a team of 3 agents that had specified role. There was the model creator, skeptical reviewer, and the literature grounder. And then by using those in just this setting of 3 agents, I got familiar with, okay, so this, regarding their identity, how they are defined and stuff, etc. Maybe I'll not go into the technicities of I mean, there is the time of definition of those agents, so they have just a description as a markdown that specifies their role, their access to the knowledge, how they should answer, what they shouldn't do, their responsibilities, a checklist for their tasks regarding their mode. For example, the expert agent, they have different modes. The modes related to knowledge management, ingest new articles coming from outside, different roles regarding knowledge, and teaching modes. Like sometimes from all these, all those articles, I have this gap knowledge. Can you just summarize me regarding the knowledge in the corpus you will find relevant? Can you produce a lesson, or can you produce a podcast? And then I listen, and it's sourced, and I can just then it goes. There is an output, for example, a lesson of. On the, I don't know, the health industry, or the functioning of the different scales of the cells, from DNA to protein to phenotypes to physiology, etc. And I wanted to create a lesson in such way that I can decide, and then it produces this, and I use this to learn. And that's why it changes a little bit how we can work with those tools. And now it's mostly used for coding, but for interacting with knowledge, to learn, etc. I think it's very like, it has a very good potential. And so by doing, I learned, and in the end, I converged to that organization that I'm absolutely not sure it's optimal. Regarding the Nature papers and stuff, it's very similar what they did. So I think it's already quite good. But I see I know it's already good.
Would you set like a prompt, a question, and just wait for the final result without checking all the process? Because I imagine they produce lots of content.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just for the time we can
continue.
Yeah,
I can explain you after if you want.
At the end.
Thank you, Théo.
Thanks once more.
Thank
Théo.
you.
Thanks for the questions also.
Our second speaker is Joseph Madimba, a doctoral researcher in public law, who will address the relationship between artificial intelligence and the environment. a question that has become both legally and ecologically urgent.
Thank you.
Do you have already?
Yes.
Okay.
So, hi everybody. I will speak in French because my English is not good. But my PowerPoint is in English. So, alors, mon sujet de présentation effectivement porte sur l'intelligence artificielle et l'environnement. Et l'idée étant d'étudier les rapports entre l'intelligence artificielle en tant qu'outil, en tant que technologie, et la matière environnementale. Alors, quelles sont les conséquences ou quel est l'impact de l'intelligence artificielle sur l'environnement? Est-ce un impact positif ou un impact négatif? Et donc, c'est ce que nous allons tenter de voir ensemble assez rapidement. Okay, très bien. Donc, j'ai pensé axer mon intervention sur un rapport qui a été rendu récemment par cet institut des Nations Unies, donc qui s'occupe des questions de l'eau, et qui a rendu un rapport justement pour étudier l'impact de l'IA sur les ressources environnementales, notamment l'eau, l'énergie, quel est le coût finalement de l'IA. Et donc, pour juste faire un petit aperçu déjà de l'importance de l'intelligence artificielle dans le monde contemporain, il faut tenir qu'entre 2023 et 2033, donc il y aura une avancée, une évolution en termes de budget alloué ou produit par l'IA qui passerait de l'ordre de 189 milliards de dollars pour atteindre effectivement les 5 000 milliards de dollars d'ici 2030. Donc c'est pour vous dire l'importance de l'IA. Mais en même temps, tout de suite on peut observer une chose, c'est que il y a à peu près, pour ce qui est de l'année 2025 uniquement, on va dire en termes de ressources énergétiques, en termes de ressources électriques, l'IA, le fonctionnement de l'IA a nécessité 448 TWh justement, ce qui équivaut, pour avoir un ordre d'idée, aux besoins, on va dire, en électricité d'un État comme la France. Voilà, pour vous donner un ordre de grandeur, c'est vous dire combien est-ce que l'IA a besoin effectivement de ressources, et notamment en termes d'énergie. Et donc, simplement ici, une autre donnée qui touche cette fois-là effectivement moins à l'environnement, mais plutôt à l'aspect social ou aux conséquences sociales de l'IA, c'est qu'on a à peu près 78% des entreprises qui envisagent effectivement pouvoir recourir ou réduire leur personnel pour justement insérer l'IA dans leur fonctionnement. Alors, j'ai l'annoncé, donc on va pouvoir commencer dans un premier temps pour voir quels sont les bénéfices finalement de l'IA en matière environnementale, en quoi est-ce que l'IA peut aider à pouvoir résoudre la question de la dégradation environnementale. Alors nous allons voir quelques points qui sont les plus essentiels. J'en ai retenu quelques-uns. Dans un premier temps, il y a effectivement la question de l'importance que peut avoir l'IA dans les différentes études qui sont menées sur la dégradation environnementale. On peut par exemple considérer qu'il y a des études, des cartographies qui sont menées en termes disons, sur des espaces tels que des forêts et qui permettent d'étudier, n'est-ce pas, dans un temps plus ou moins court, comparé effectivement au temps qu'auraient mis des études humaines ordinaires sur les mêmes sujets. Donc l'IA permet, de ce point de vue-là, d'avoir une sorte d'anticipation sur les risques environnementaux de l'activité humaine, ce qui constitue effectivement un atout dans la mise en place ou disons dans la réalisation ou l'opérationnalisation d'un principe qui est celui effectivement de précaution en termes d'environnement. Ensuite, sur la question de l'agriculture, on peut également relever le fait que l'IA permet de réduire l'usage ou l'utilisation de ressources pour pouvoir atteindre plus d'efficacité dans la production agricole, et par exemple la réduction notamment de certains pesticides, puisque l'IA permet de pouvoir calibrer véritablement à quel moment est-ce qu'il faut pouvoir faire des mises en terre, à quel moment il faut récolter, à quelle période, avec des projections qui sont tout aussi intéressante. Et donc la réduction de ressources, notamment en eau, ou alors la réduction du recours à des pesticides, a effectivement un impact sur la protection de l'environnement, ou sinon la limitation de la dégradation environnementale. Ensuite, sur la question de l'énergie, ou alors notamment de l'énergie solaire et de l'énergie éolienne, eh ben, l'IA permet effectivement de pouvoir tout aussi, voilà, également dans le calibrage ou dans les projections que l'IA peut permettre, effectivement, de savoir véritablement à quelle période est-ce que l'on peut compter davantage sur plus un rayonnement beaucoup plus important du soleil et le sens du vent et la force du vent, justement, pour pouvoir maximiser la production de l'électricité axée sur l'énergie solaire ou alors sur l'énergie éolienne. Et puis un autre point également est celui effectivement des questions logistiques, effectivement, que peut permettre aussi l'IA, justement, de pouvoir connaître, on va dire, un usage plus optimal. Alors, quelques données, je pense que ça rentre en lien effectivement à ce que j'ai pu déjà évoquer. Et donc, c'est peut-être juste pour voir un peu quel est quels sont encore une fois les impacts, voilà, de l'IA. Alors là, il y a par exemple la question de la réduction effectivement de l'énergie des data centers, effectivement, de Google DeepMind, qui a permis effectivement de pouvoir réduire de 40% voilà, le recours effectivement à l'énergie électrique. Donc encore un point positif que l'on peut relever à cet égard-là. Alors, on a vu effectivement les avantages assez vite fait. On peut également faire un petit point sur les risques. Bien entendu, sur les risques, il y a beaucoup à dire, même si on a tendance effectivement, lorsqu'on parle d'IA, de croire que c'est un outil qui est neutre, puisque voilà, on a un petit gadget entre ses mains et on invisibilise un peu le coût qu'il y a derrière. Mais ces avantages qu'on a pu énumérer sont en quelque sorte absorbés par les risques qui sont liés effectivement au développement de l'intelligence artificielle. Alors, parmi ces risques, j'en évoquais déjà un en introduction. Il y a donc effectivement la nécessité pour l'IA dans son développement de s'appuyer sur de fortes ressources, notamment électriques. Et puis, il faut également tenir que alors, quand je parlais tout à l'heure de la France, il faut simplement avoir un ordre d'idée. Le fait que la capacité de la France, lorsqu'on parle des 448 TWh, effectivement, c'est tout simplement la capacité d'un État qui occupe la 11e place mondiale. Donc, c'est autant vous dire combien est-ce que l'IA, effectivement, a besoin de s'appuyer sur ces ressources-là. Alors, c'était le premier risque, effectivement, qui est lié à l'énergie. Alors, le deuxième risque, effectivement, est lié à l'impact carbone. Et il faut tenir que pour la seule année 2025, le fonctionnement de l'IA a eu besoin, effectivement, a pu produire 180 000 tonnes d'équivalent CO2, effectivement. Et donc ça a un impact en termes de dioxyde de carbone sur l'environnement. Et un autre élément que je trouvais également assez intéressant, c'est que d'ici 2030, mais en réalité déjà avec rien que l'entraînement de ChatGPT 5, eh bien on estime à peu près à 42 000 tonnes d'équivalent CO2 qui pourront être déversées dans l'atmosphère. Et avec, en termes d'efforts qui pourraient être faits pour contrebalancer effectivement cette production ou cette incidence du fonctionnement de l'IA sur l'environnement en matière de production de gaz carbonique, eh bien, on a, dans un ordre d'idée, c'est que pour pouvoir absorber cette quantité de CO2 émis dans le fonctionnement de l'IA, rien que pour ChatGPT 5 par exemple, eh bien, on aurait à peu près besoin de planter 700 000 nouveaux arbres pour voilà, pouvoir atteindre on va dire des foyers de captation de CO2 et essayer, voilà, on va dire, d'aplanir cet impact en termes de production de CO2. Alors, Un autre risque que j'ai pu également retenir, effectivement, c'est la question du refroidissement. Puisque là, effectivement, ce sont des data centers effectivement, qui ont besoin, dans leur fonctionnement, de refroidissement, lequel refroidissement plutôt a besoin d'eau. Voilà. Et la capacité qui est effectivement indiquée est une capacité qui équivaut voilà, à peu près à la consommation de 600 millions de personnes en Afrique subsaharienne. Donc, c'est juste pour avoir un ordre d'idée en termes de consommation d'eau dans le fonctionnement des data centers de l'IA. Alors, là également, il y a la question, on va dire, de l'occupation aussi de l'espace. Et je peux faire un petit point assez rapide, c'est que l'espace dont a besoin effectivement toute l'industrie liée à l'IA, effectivement, atteint les 6900 km². Et donc ça équivaut à peu près à la surface du Grand Londres, effectivement, rien que pour les données que l'on peut avoir pour l'année 2025. Alors, un autre point, effectivement, c'est celui des inégalités sociales dans le monde. Et là, il faut tenir que 50% des data centers sont identifiés ou sont situés aux États-Unis. Donc, on voit à peu près en termes d'ordre ce que ça représente. Donc, on a la moitié des data centers, effectivement, qui se retrouvent aux États-Unis. Et comme vous pouvez voir sur cette image, il y a de plus en plus, en mai 2026 par exemple, on a les populations de cet État des États-Unis qui voilà, ont pu manifester pour voilà, rejeter l'idée de la mise en place d'un nouveau data center dans leur État. Et puis, une autre donnée, c'est que 90% des capacités de l'IA sont concentrées uniquement au niveau des États-Unis et de la Chine, avec aussi une autre donnée qui peut que je relevais déjà, le fait qu'il y a 40% voilà, des employés qui envisagent voilà, de pouvoir réduire leur effectif de salariés pour justement pouvoir introduire l'IA dans leur fonctionnement. Donc là, on peut voir bien les tensions entre l'IA, le recours à l'IA et les intérêts plus directement concernant les personnes ou les individus. Et donc, s'il me reste encore un peu de temps, très bien, donc je pense que je vais y arriver. Alors, l'idée que je trouvais assez intéressante aussi, c'est finalement de se dire, est-ce que l'on peut proposer des solutions à cet écart entre ou à ce paradoxe entre les bénéfices de l'IA pour l'environnement, d'une part, et d'autre part, les conséquences négatives de l'IA en termes de dégradation de l'environnement, puisque l'IA a besoin, comme on a pu le voir, de s'appuyer sur des ressources assez conséquentes. Donc, il y a le premier élément qui est repris dans le rapport justement des Nations Unies, c'est la question de la transparence. C'est qu'aujourd'hui, il y a encore tellement de données qui sont relatives effectivement au fonctionnement de l'IA, qui ne sont pas diffusées par les différentes entreprises qui évoluent dans ce secteur-là. Et donc, il faudrait parvenir à plus de transparence, et pour des raisons qui sont assez évidentes. On sait que les États-Unis, avec leur politique de protectionnisme assez poussée de leurs entreprises, et ben, ça fait que les données fuitent très difficilement. Et pareil pour la Chine aussi, dont on sait que le régime communiste en place n'est pas toujours très féru, on va dire, de transparence. Un deuxième élément, effectivement, c'est aussi celui de pouvoir véritablement penser à une forme voilà, d'économie circulaire, puisque, voilà, par exemple, dans le cadre d'un risque que j'ai peut-être passé rapidement sous silence, c'est qu'en termes de déchets qui sont liés au fonctionnement de l'IA, dans toute la chaîne de production, eh bien, il faut considérer, voilà, pour l'année 2025 uniquement, c'était l'équivalent à peu près de 250 tours Eiffel. Voilà, c'était l'ordre d'idée qui est repris dans le rapport des Nations Unies. Donc, ça veut bien dire l'importance en termes notamment de pollution de l'environnement. Et puis la question de l'équité, puisque j'évoquais bien entendu tout à l'heure le fait qu'il y a parfois des disparités sociales entre les États qui détiennent effectivement cette ressource, cet outil et qui le développent d'un côté, alors que les conséquences notamment négatives sur l'environnement, eh ben, elles se répercutent sur l'ensemble des populations mondiales, puisque la dégradation environnementale ne touche pas que les pays, par exemple, qui sont les plus pollueurs. Et puis, il y a la question de la justice environnementale, bien entendu, qui tend à aller vers la la prise en compte des intérêts des populations qui sont les plus touchées, puisque on sait par exemple que pour le fonctionnement de l'IA, avec toutes les ressources que cela demande, eh ben, il faut aller extraire des ressources, et ces ressources-là, généralement, sont extraites très loin des centres de production ou d'implémentation de ces technologies-là. Et notamment, on le retrouve en Afrique, où on peut avoir effectivement des populations qui sont impactées directement par l'extraction des minerais qui doivent servir à alimenter l'industrie de l'IA et comme l'industrie technologique. Et donc il y a la question de la coopération internationale, pour terminer rapidement. Et la coopération internationale, pourquoi? Puisque l'IA, tout comme l'environnement, sont des questions qui transcendent les frontières des États, et les solutions à pouvoir mettre en place pour un usage, on va dire, responsable ou soutenable de l'IA, eh bien, nécessitent qu'il y ait une coopération entre les différents États. Et donc c'est peut-être de cette façon-là que l'on peut parvenir à faire de l'IA, on va dire, un outil qui soit au service non seulement de l'environnement, mais aussi des différentes communautés dans les États. Donc voilà, je vous remercie et je vous laisse à votre disposition pour les questions.
Merci. Merci déjà pour ta présentation, super intéressant. Moi j'ai une question, est-ce que tu penses que la religion a un rôle à jouer en termes d'arbitrage sur l'usage de l'IA, au regard par exemple qu'aujourd'hui, on le sait, l'arbitrage de conflits, l'arbitrage de déplacement de population, on peut éditer des textes, on peut avoir des organisations qui sont présentes pour gérer ces aspects-là, mais on le sait au fond, c'est pas comme ça que ça marche. Il y a des sanctions, mais c'est pas comme ça que ça marche non plus. Quel est le rôle de la religion dans tout ça? Voilà.
D'accord. Je vais y répondre très rapidement, mais est-ce que je peux juste avoir quel est votre domaine d'études ou de formation ou de travail?
Moi j'étais en CPGE avec Théo Perochon.
D'accord.
Dans l'armentaire.
D'accord, très bien. Parce que c'est une question qui touche un peu au droit et à la force du droit. Ça, lorsqu'on parle de la médiation, alors c'est quelqu'un qui a, on va dire, quasiment 7 ans de droit derrière lui, qui vous répond qu'il ne croit pas tellement en la force du droit, et encore moins du droit public, puisque généralement le droit, c'est un outil qui est au service de la politique. Et peut-être le lien que je pourrais essayer de faire, c'est entre la politique et la religion. Et de ce point de vue-là, je sais que lorsqu'on parle des États, notamment occidentaux, il y a la question de la laïcité qui fait que l'État prend ses distances vis-à-vis de la religion. N'empêche qu'il y a eu effectivement, en termes d'encyclique très récemment du pape, qui a produit une réflexion. Alors je vous avoue que je ne l'ai pas encore regardé de très près, j'en ai lu quelques résumés, et effectivement, je pense que la religion a son rôle, mais la religion, tout comme toutes les autres forces sociales, chacun d'entre nous a un rôle. Alors peut-être un élément que je n'ai pas relevé, mais que j'aimerais quand même pouvoir ici distiller, c'est que l'impact de l'IA est beaucoup moins important en termes de toute la chaîne de production qu'en termes d'usage. Pour avoir un ordre d'idée, par exemple, une recherche qui est faite sur Google consomme moins d'énergie, voilà, 10 fois moins d'énergie qu'une recherche qui est faite simplement sur l'IA. Et encore sur l'IA, chaque fois qu'on a un échange, chaque fois qu'on demande par exemple la production d'une vidéo, eh ben, c'est quelque chose de tellement banal, mais derrière ça, il y a effectivement une mobilisation de ressources assez conséquente. Donc je pense que nous avons tous notre rôle à jouer, et peut-être la religion aussi dans cet ordre d'idée-là.
Une autre question? Non?
J'en aurais, mais je pense que ça serait bien de pouvoir la poser à...
Il n'y a aucun souci, de toute façon on est ensemble, toi et moi, oui, donc on se voit très souvent. Voilà. Oui. Ça sera avec plaisir en tout cas. Oui.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Voilà, merci.
Voilà. Our final speaker is Lili, Pineau, data scientist and founder of Aqua-Adapt. We'll close with the striking case study, Le Signal, a building constructed 200 meters from the ocean and demolished in the 2023. Yeah? Okay. It's okay. Stage is yours. You have 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
15 with questions, 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, bonjour à tous. This QR code links you to a website I made for the presentation. So it is the translation of the slides in both French and English. Bonjour à tous, pour ceux qui ne parlent pas anglais, le QR code il vous emmène à un site que j'ai fait pour la conférence qui reprend les slides mais en français et en anglais du coup. Voilà. So let's start in English. This here is the Signal. It was built 200 meters from the ocean initially, and it was demolished in 2023. And then 78 families lost their homes. This was predictable. This here is what a coastline looks like when it's already losing. So erosion doesn't announce itself. It's slow, and then it's sudden. Here's one little number, 1 billion people. So by 2050, 1 billion people will live in low elevation coastal zones exposed to rising seas. That is nearly 1 in 8 people on Earth. And that is not a distant stat, as just in France, 371 local governments are now legally required to map their coastal risks. And that is just in France and just a small part of the coastal communities. And most don't have the tools to do it also. So Le Signal wasn't an accident. Oops. It was a failure of foresight. It's happening again right now on coasts that haven't made the news yet. So what do they see? That's a question we ask ourselves frequently. What do developers, insurers, local governments, and planners, as well as people who globally need to take decisions about coastal zones, actually see and get? They get a spreadsheet. They get a rough estimate, and they get a number with no timeline, no scenario, and no address, basically. So imagine you're the mayor of a coastal city, and you know your coast is retreating, but you don't know which parcels, which streets, when, how, and what planning decisions need to change. So yeah, that's what you're working with right now as a mayor. And nothing tells you this specific plot under this specific scenario in 30 years will be at risk. That's the gap, because decisions are being made anyway with or without the right information. Tools were built for researchers, not for decision makers, such as like mayors or other people. They're slow. They require months of processing before any output reaches the people who need it. They're expensive. You need a whole team of specialists just to interpret the results. And they are static. There is no parcel level resolution, no forward-looking scenarios, no risk scores to act on. AI makes it possible to do this at scale. So at speed and at the resolutions that decisions actually require. But here's something that most people don't know. A satellite has been photographing your coastline since 1972. Every year, every season, for more than 50 years, images show how the coastline is evolving, meter by meter and decade by decade. So AI is built to learn from what is built to learn from what these satellites saw, combined with climate projections and coastal physics. So the data already exists. The intelligence to read it is what we are building. So to tell you a little bit more about how it works, the output is simple. You give us a parcel, so a place, and we give you its possible futures. So across 10, 30, 50, and 100 years, across multiple climate scenarios, and with a confidence level for every number. You don't need any GIS expertise. So GIS is for mapping, basically, for those who don't know, and I guess you don't know, because it's not your field. So everyone can read this. A mayor, an insurer, or a planner, or a developer for infrastructure or real estate. So let's take an example. Let's represent ourselves as parcel in Soulac-sur-Mer. So Soulac-sur-Mer is where the signal, Le Signal, the building I showed you first, was located before it was demolished. So under a low emission scenario, in 10 meters, 18 meters will have been lost of like vertical, horizontal, coast. And in 50 years, it's already 58 meters. But under a high emission scenario, so take the IPCC scenarios, are you all familiar with that? Not really? Well, I'll tell you about it later. It's like the scenarios that are made by climatologists to follow the future of the climate and of people on Earth and life on Earth, basically. And so under this high emission scenario, in 50 years, we will be at 118 meters, and in 100 years, the parcel will simply be gone. So each number, we want it to come with its own confidence interval, because at 10 years, the interval of like what we know is tight, and we're pretty sure about it. But at 100 years, of course, it widens, and it's not that sure anymore. And if you take the example of ChatGPT, for example, it tells you it can make mistakes, but it's not quantified, and that's what we want to do. So our model says so explicitly because that is information that changes decisions, and that is information that didn't exist before also. So let's look at what these numbers mean in practice. At 10 years, at the average erosion rate, we will have lost 43 meters. At 50 years, 250 meters. But at the accelerated rate, so under a high emission scenario, and I'm going to come back to the rates in a minute, it's 400 meters, and at 100 years, it's 800 meters, which is absolutely huge. So of course, it's not in 8, it's in distance from the shoreline, so where the sea stops to the land. And so basically, in the winter of 2013 to 2014, a single storm happened, and it removed 40 meters of land. So that exceeded what projections said would happen by 2040 at the normal rate. So oceans don't wait for planning cycles, and according to the CEREMA, so it's an institution, a French institution, the rate between 1997 and 2021 was of 4.3 meters per year. So this is what happens here. And if we take the current accelerated rate, which is the case right now with the current emissions on Earth, we get to, in Nouvelle-Aquitaine, so where I grew up and where this Signal building was built on, it goes up to 8 meters a year. So still horizontal, not vertical, which is crazy huge. So there's another question we ask ourselves frequently. It's what disappears first. Is it the land or the trust in the tools that are supposed to protect it? Because there's a real danger with AI, and I told you about it just a little earlier. It's not that it's wrong, it's that it looks right. So same example with ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you like. So for us, uncertainty is a primary output. It's not just a footnote. So basically, every projection we give comes with its full scenario envelope. Visible, not buried. So we say where it is safe and where it is less safe, basically. So projections are conditioned on scenarios, and they are not presented as deterministic outcomes, but rather we show you possible futures, not a single answer like ChatGPT would. So, next slide. What should AI say then? Well, this is what an overconfident AI would say. It would say, this will happen. And this is what we are building. A useful AI that says, prepare for these futures, and here's how likely each one is, and here's where our certainty ends. So that is the difference between a tool that informs decisions and one that replaces judgment. So Aquadat AI is building, as I said, the useful kind. as we like to say it. The one that says prepare for these possible futures, not the one that says this future will certainly happen, because that wouldn't be true. And, oh yeah, so where our model is less reliable, we say so explicitly, and we do not qualify it only, just like saying this is not sure. We say this is how much this is sure, and this is how much like this is not sure. And also, I told you about it just a little earlier, but the confidence decreases with time. So the further we look, the less sure we can be about our predictions. It's logical, but it's important to say so because for decision makers, it's not always something that they think will be the case. So Aquadat makes one thing visible. It's which parcels will flood, when, and under what conditions before the water arrives. So coastal risks will be one of the defining challenges of the next 50 years, and also before and also after. But the science is here, the satellite data is here, as well as other data that we use. But there's a bridge between the data and the people who need to act on it. They have nothing between this science and them. So if what you've heard today resonates with you or your experience or something like that, I would love to keep going with this conversation. You'll find me still right here after the talk. And this QR code still links you to the website that I made in case you want to follow the slides afterwards, because it explains better than I do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lili. And
so my questions, because I do not know much about the domain, unfortunately. It's very interesting. Okay. The question is about which solutions do we have actually? So other than that, like, so after the prediction.
Yeah, oh, of course, I didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
Because it was more about AI. So you were wondering basically what happens when you have the prediction to take a decision, or something else?
Which options do the policymakers have to counter, these futures?
Well, countering is not something that I would really say is possible because you cannot counter the ocean, basically. But you can adapt to it. It's something that I rather like. And there's a few solutions. There's gray solutions first. So gray solutions. It's like dig a wall, a seawall. I don't know if that's the correct word in English. There's building walls basically, or there's green solutions or blue solutions, as we call them. And green solutions are, for example, replanting a mangrove, if it's possible somewhere, not in metropolitan France, obviously, but like in Guyane, for example, that would be possible, I believe. I'm not an expert in that. So yeah, there's a few solutions, but it's hard to prepare for these, and it's hard to know which solution will be the best. So we would like to build a product later that will help people make these decisions as well. That's like integrated as a package.
So I'm just curious, what kind of models do you use to?
For now, we're still building on them, so we don't know yet. We have gathered the data, we have worked on it, and now we're trying to find the best model and the best parameters and hyperparameters for our model. So I can tell you that in a few weeks, if you want. For now, we're just having ideas. And we are, within the team, we do not agree on them, by the way. So yeah, this is hard, and I would love insights from other people if you want.
The direction is a conversational AI, because I saw in the slide it was like useful AI and some words.
Oh, no. No, it's like we're building maps, basically, and reports. So the reports are generated from the maps and the data. So we don't write them entirely, but it's not conversational. We're building a platform where you just draw on a map the zone you want to have. And then you say, like, I want this scenario, like, is it high emission? Is it low emission? Is it normal emissions? And when you want it. And then you have the results.
Other one is Thea.
Thanks. Yeah. No, I'm wondering what the team consists of. Like, what are your backgrounds?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the original founder, and I have studied earth sciences in La Rochelle, so near the ocean. And basically, I studied oceanography and climatology a lot. Then I came to Paris to study satellites and their data, which was fun, but I stopped. And now I'm studying AI in a master's degree. And so it's funded a little by my school. So we have a team from school to help us build the AI models and everything. And I have a co-founder now who comes from legal and finance and VC stuff. VC is investment, just in case. And now we also have an urbanist with us, which is cool. And my little brother who built the platform, web platform. So yeah, it's like a family and friends thing.
Okay, thank you, Lili.
Thank you very much, everyone.
We prepared some snacks for you, and also especially Andreas, he cooked a soup for you. You can drink it. Thank you for coming here.